kid, I was taught that we go to church. I grew up in Bluffton, Ohio. I remember when I was born in Nevada. I had to get my license. My birthday was last week. So, where were you born? Wow. Nevada. Never really lived there much. But, you got your new license, you gotta bring these other papers. If you pare it down, I only brought 2 papers. But you have to bring certain papers. Identify yourself, or else you'll just get a license, but then you can't fly an airplane or whatever.
Can't go federal property.
Can't go into any federal property. Okay, there's certain
Can you go to the
restrictions.
post office?
Federal property.
Can't drive in.
I hope nobody drives into our post office.
You're lucky not to stay.
But in Bluffton where I lived, counted about 3,000 people at that time. I think maybe they got 5,000 now. I have the college there, they have a hospital there, they got about everything you need. 2 blocks away was the church that we went to. Nice stained glass. It was boring as heck. Remember that? It's just, goodness. Your hairpin drop. It's just like, wow. I was watching the clock the whole time. You could set you could probably have the roast according to that church, exactly on time. It's such and such, you know you're getting out. It's like, wow. It just seemed like it took longer sometimes. After I came to Jesus, I kind of like this. I actually got something out of it, you know. I didn't get anything out of it until I had the author inside of me interpreting it. Once the author's inside you, you understand the book. Be the church. Be the church. This is the first passage. We talked about it that was a couple weeks ago. It's the first passage where church is mentioned in the Bible, and Jesus mentioned it. He was talking to Peter. He says, "You're Peter." It's a large piece of a rock. But on this rock, because he was called Peter because his real name, his given name was what? Simon, which means pebble. He says, "You know what? I'm calling you Peter. And as I am in your life, you'll become strong." But then he says, "On this rock, which is not Peter, it's Petra, a huge rock, which is the rock that Jesus is the Christ." Because he taught prior to that, he says, "Who do people say that I am?" Well, some say Elijah, some say Jeremiah, one of the prophets. "But who do you guys say that I am?" And that's when Peter spoke up. He says, "You're the Christ, the Son of the Most High God." And Jesus looked at him and said, "You know, you didn't get that from people. Flesh and blood did not reveal that to you, but my Father who's in heaven." How many know that not until the light bulb turns on, we don't get this stuff? Why are so many people excited about church? Why are you going to that thing? What are you getting out of it anyway? Not until revelation comes into our head, not until all of a sudden God just pulls the screen back and we start to get it. We don't get it. How many of you know you don't get it until you get it? I mean, you ever try to convince somebody of something? They just don't get it. They don't get it. You don't get it until you get it. I mean, I don't know how to, and some things I don't know.
Geometry.
Some heads are harder than others. I only understand that one. And if you run into the wall enough, you figure it out. Hopefully. Instead of saying it's the wall's fault. But then he says, "On this rock, the rock of the confession that Jesus is the Christ, I'm going to build my church." And here is the beautiful thing about this passage. Jesus says, "I'm going going to build my church. You don't have to build my church. Or he says, I'm not going to build your church. I'm going to build my church. And the gates of hell, Hades, can't prevail against it. Hell can't come against it. Now the word church there is the word ekklesia in the Greek. Ekklesia. That's the Greek word used. And the word church means what? It means the called out ones. Jesus says, I am going to call people out. He calls people out into a body, an assembly together. The church is the people. It's that, I've said it before, I like that there was a little song. And this Avery, the guys' last names were Avery and Marsh. And they were at college, where I was at college, and they did a little seminar. And they wrote Christian songs, and the one was called I Am the Church. And the words are, I am the church, you are the church, yes, we're the church together. All of God's people all around the world, yes, we're the church together. The church is not a building, the church is not a steeple, the church is not a resting place, the church is a people. I am the church, you are the church, we are the church. I said, that's a great song. That's a great song. I don't have the second verse memorized, so I think they have about 3 verses. But it's a nice song. Ekklesia, it means the called out ones. Ekklesia is translated as church in the New Testament. We're called out. But I think we have this feeling the church is somewhere that we go to. That's not what the church is. The church is just the opposite. This is where we huddle. The church really lives out there. It's you and I. After we got to play. We're going to see the Super Bowl today. Who's going to see the Super Bowl? I think I'm going to see the Super Bowl. Most people will see a lot of people. See. They'll have brand new commercials. Evidently, they'll have a new commercial for the new Hummer that will come out. There's got a new Hummer. Chevy's going to put a new Hummer out there. And I think LeBron James will be in it, in that commercial. But that's what the brand new commercials are going to come out. That's why Apple took off many years ago because they had a commercial. It was like 25 years ago, and they went from a small company to a huge company. And they had to pay $1 million whatever for that slot way back 25 years ago, but they took off because of that. All because of football. But anyway, the idea here is that when we come together like this is our hub. This is where we get to play. Now, we got to go out and be the church. I'm thinking, it was Max Lucado, I heard him down in, it was the pastor, it was the Promise Keepers Pastor Conference. It was in the Georgia Dome, down in Atlanta, Georgia. I think the Georgia Dome's mowed over. They got a brand new one down there. But anyway, there were 50,000 pastors from across the United States and the world there. And Max Lucado gave this wonderful message on worship. And one of the little phrases he used, he was talking about the church. And oh, how we like to huddle. We just like to huddle. We don't break break from the huddle. We just like to huddle. We just love huddling and cuddling and being together. But the church, for the church is to be, we need to be on purpose, on our calling. That's what the church is. Therefore, every single person who is a Christ follower is called to be a minister. Because we're called out into this world to shine light. We're lights. Jesus said, "You're the light of the world." Just a couple verses before that, he said, "I am the light of the world." And then he pointed to his disciples, "You're the light of the world." Now, what if we took that seriously? And Bob, it's on your shoulders. You're the light of the world. Oh my goodness, we would watch our behavior. We would try to say the things that will bring light and life to people. We would do our best to be that. You're the light of the world. And then he says, don't put that light under some bushel. Let your light shine before men, so that they will see your good works and glorify my Father in heaven. Shine. Don't whine. Right? Shine. Shine. Everyone is a minister. So if someone says, "Man, your group, who's the minister?" You just look at him and say, "We all are. Man, you guys are different." This is the normal church. This is supposed to be normal. Right? Greg, you're a minister. I didn't say you felt like a minister. I remember when God called me and talked to me that I was supposed to be a pastor. I remember, how's a pastor supposed to think and feel? I remember going through what am I supposed to think and feel? How are you supposed to feel? I don't know if that's, you just are. You just are. You're a minister, Kathy. Turn to your neighbor and say, "You're a minister."
You're a minister.
You're a minister. You're a minister. For the church to be the church of Jesus Christ, it must be missional in nature. We use the word missional a lot. But the aspect is that we got to be on mission. That's the church. We're called out. And we're called out. God has called his people out from sin. He's called us out from sin and for a purpose. I think all of us know that we're called out from our own ways of life to doing our own thing. And we're called for a purpose. To be separate from sin, to be a growing, living, edifying body, and to shine and win men and women for the kingdom of God in this dark world. Great passage. All these different passages. We don't go to church. We are the church. Church is not a building, it's the family of God. We don't go to church. So let's eradicate that from your language. We don't go to church anymore. I'm the church. You're the church. We're the church together. And if anybody does it, I'll find you a buck on the spot and put you on. Don't worry. We don't go to church. We are the church. We are to be the church. We are the church. Yeah, what's missing in church? Yeah, Cha-ching. Which, you know, and we are called to be a body. And it says, the eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you. We talked about this a bit in our small group this last week. How many want to need other people? We're taught in this country to be pretty self-sufficient. But it says the eye cannot say to the hand. You can say that. But in our physical bodies, what if the eye would say to the hand, screw you? Or the hand would say to the eye, forget about you. What would happen to our bodies if our members just wouldn't show up one day? All of a sudden your pancreas decided to go out for lunch and not show up. What would happen?
Really bad.
You know, we don't think about our pancreas. I don't think about my pancreas. I don't think about my liver. I don't think about my kidneys. I don't think about all sorts of organs. They just show up every day, do their job, and they're not similar at all. And I don't think the liver thinks about the pancreas and say, man, you're weird, man. You're not like me. I mean, we're all different. We have different gifts. Okay, there's coffee in here. If I all of a sudden, if I just put it here without that on, you know, and I'd be just walking around like that, and all of a sudden I go like this, and it goes over, guess what? All sorts of different gifts would come out. The person with the gift of helps wouldn't say anything. Would pick it up, put some towels down, clean it up. The teacher would say, now the better place to do that is to put it over here. Is to put it up. The teacher would try to tell us what to do. The prophet would say, I could see that coming. The evangelist would say, we need to tell other people about this. And the different gifts come out. All of a sudden, the different gifts come out in one thing. And we say, well, we're not together. We don't say the same thing. We're not supposed to. We have different gifts and we're a body and we fit together.
So what would you buy?
If we all look the same, we're into somewhat. I mean, shoot. If Benita and I are different on our personalities, different on our, I mean, if we're all the same, then we're into, you know, someone's not needed. I decided to go knock on his door. I don't know if it was the next day or the day after. So I went down to where he was and I knocked on the door. I said, "How you doing?" "Good, G." I never knocked on the door. He stood right there. I said, "I just want to tell you, I really miss you." I said, "Good. You really had it." He says, "Frankly, Ron, I just want to let you know, I don't get anything out of it." And remember, I was dumbfounded. I don't get anything out of it. And then it all dawned on me. He didn't come to give. He came to give. To me, this is the picture of the North American church. We say church is when we gather together. And if we perform well, give people enough good things, they get something out of it, and they think that was good. Now the church is only the church when we're on mission. How about you don't come to church to get something? You come to church to give. To find what God's calling you. That you're a part of the church, you're a part of society. To shine, not to suck. But we have made the church about sitting and soaking rather than participating and being alive. I've heard the church called, the people of the church called the frozen chosen. Because they're just frozen. They're chosen by God, but there's no purpose. When someone sits in their seat, they get upset. We've had that before. Here we are. A guy that never came to church before starts coming to church. He gets excited and he invites other people, and the whole pew is filled. I'm the pastor of that church. And people are upset because they had to move. Because they're on their pew. Get excited when new folk come through. My goodness. Isn't this what this is about? Is to pass it on? It's that all, when I was, I always liked the song. It was in Campus Life. It's that old song. And the guy had it with me. It was called Pass It On. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. And what else does it say?
And soon all those around can warm up to its glow.
Okay, it only takes a spark to keep a fire, make a fire, get a fire going. And what now?
Soon all those around can warm up to its glow.
Soon, and that's how it is with God's love. When you experience it. And then it says,
He shed his love to everyone who wants to pass it on.
can you shed his love to everyone you want to pass it on? Do you want to pass it on? Is Jesus the best thing that ever happened to you? Why would you keep him in your pocket? Don't you want to pass it on? Isn't that what this is about? Is passing it on? If no one passed it on, you would have never gotten it.
True.
But sometimes we have imperfect ministers out there, including myself. I mean, any light's better than darkness. You know, the church. This is what we think church is. Everybody's coming into the building. This is not church. This is church. The whole direction's incorrect. This is a go-to structure. We go to this. We're coming in. This is a going out. Jesus says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me, therefore go and make disciples. He says, he doesn't say, therefore come and let's build a building. Jesus never had a building. Never had. Some people won't even show up here. Man, you guys don't have a building? Man, you're weird. You don't even understand what church is, do you? Biblically. Man, what's wrong with you folks? Why don't you have a building? When you get into the Bible, I know it confuses Christians. But, you know, it could give you some real light. At first, it'll mess you up. How many know that when you come to Jesus, you get messed? You get messed, but it's messed up. It's not messed down. When you're a part of the world, you get messed down, not messed up. I had a series on getting messed up before. I think it was a great series. Because we didn't get messed up. When Jesus comes in, he comes in and things get messed up. We can't think like, we don't think the same thoughts that we did anymore. We don't fit in with the same people we used to fit in anymore. Things don't work the same anymore. Whatever worked before doesn't work anymore. Totally, everything's changed. And we can't go back. We got to go on. But this is the church. This is not the church. This is the North American understanding of church, which is not biblical. And we need to break that thing out. I have this revelation. Started just prior to seminary and in seminary, and then it really took off after that. This is huge, isn't it? This is huge. What if everybody would actually be a minister? The church would be strong. It would be a movement. And if you look up in the New Testament, every time persecution happened, the church grew. How many know when there's no pressure, we don't grow? How many know when we get lax, there's no reason to press into God? Everything's better. I don't know. We don't press into God. The church grew. I think persecution's coming to the United States. I think that Christians are in the minority right now. It used to be the majority. I think we're slowly getting into the minority. Now, if you go up to Canada, they are definitely the minority. And I think Canada's about 20 years ahead of us from that perspective. Look, that's the direction we're going. God is running us. True discipleship is when each part of our life comes over to Jesus, then we'll be called out. We will be called out. it's very difficult to be called out and to be the real church when we're not serving Jesus. When really the cross is essential to our life. We just can't. Who are you and why are you here? Who are you? Let's read this. And he has appointed some with grace to be apostles, some with grace to be prophets, some with grace to be evangelists, and some with grace to be pastors, and some with grace to be teachers. This is called the fivefold ministry. These are the 5 leadership types of gifts that are within the church. The far-reaching finger is the evangelist. The prophet is the pointer finger. The pastor